Two guards stood at the gates of a luxurious old castle. One of them told the girl who approached them that only authorized persons could enter the demon lord's castle, and asked them to leave the place now. The girl replied that she did not have a pass, but they sent her a lawsuit. The guards were very surprised. The girl's name was Siren Pollax, and it's been a year since anyone called her that. She threw herself into a novel about a demon lord, and then received a lawsuit from the real demon lord. Her first life in the human world ended at 19. Her name used to be Irene Yu, and she was an ordinary high school student who liked to read novels. The sad thing was that she went to an all-girls school and had never even held a guy's hand. Her resentment was so strong that she even lived her entire second life in the underworld as the ghost of a virgin, telling lewd stories to the Grim Reapers. One day, the old demon lord blessed the girl, and she received residence as a succubus since she had a high level of yin energy. That's why her soul didn't disappear. Siren received bright purple eyes and river mother-of-pearl hair in her new life, and the novel she wrote as The Ghost of a Virgin became a hit immediately upon publication. Her novel is a 2-volume novel called 5,500 Shadows of the Demon Lord, about a girl living in the castle of the Demon Lord and having an affair with him. That's why she's here. The girl gave the guards a sheet with the claim. The guard ordered that His Majesty be told that the author of that obscene novel had arrived for trial. The guards led her inside the castle. The inside of the castle looked nothing like the description from the Jerry Post article. It looked like there was a mixture of styles from different eras. Although the world of demons is no different from the world of the 21st century, Siren wanted to see the Lord because she knew he was handsome. If he is a hero who suddenly appeared on the battlefield and ended the war, then his body must be in excellent shape. His Majesty, Cloud Stern, came out to the author in the hall. He immediately said that he had finally seen her again. The girl recognized him. He reminded her that she had once called him a loser, and then Siren realized that all this time the Demon Lord had been undercover, and her idea of him as a generous saint changed. What happened between them? A week ago, in the morning, she was sleeping on a bench in the park. A man in uniform approached and looked straight at her. She opened her eyes. She liked him. The girl thought that he had fallen in love, to which the man replied that she was disgusting and could continue sleeping. He was already turning to leave when he suddenly noticed a book on the bench. The guy called this book a stupid book about stupid relationships. This made the girl very angry because she was the author of this book, which she told him. The young people began to squabble. He shouted that she should do something else rather than write novels. She screamed that he had probably never even held hands with anyone. The guy said that he no longer wanted to waste time on useless arguments and turned to leave, and the girl shouted after him that he was a loser. He thought to himself that soon she would learn how a wise king acts. Remembering this skirmish while under guard in the Demon Lord's castle, Siren realized how stuck she was. The Lord appealed to her that being a virgin in a past life, it was not good to accuse him of the same. Cloud asked the director of the Royal Library if they could ban books that spread false information. The director replied that the author's book mentioned what had already happened. Siren begged the Lord to forgive her, thinking that she might be executed. He swore on his stone that her books would be banned until their contents were found to be false. And since the stone is a source of power for all demons, swearing by the stone implies that he is putting his life on the line. Such a promise is unbreakable. The stone will break and its owner will die. The library director said that they could not ban this book because all its readers would be punished. And this is a bestseller in the world of demons. More than half the population has already read it. Since the Lord swore by his stone, he will have to punish half the population and put them in prison. But fortunately, this could have been avoided. The entire content of the book had to be turned into truth. According to the rules of the demon world, if at least half of the contents of a book are true, then it is not subject to the law on disseminating false information. The librarian hinted that only half of the book could be brought to life. This meant that Siren would become the protagonist of her own erotic romance alongside the demon lord Cloud. Siren really didn't want to do this. Since being a virgin, she collected information from others, burning with shame. And now she has to make it all happen with this bastard who sued her. But she must do this for the sake of her readers, who may be put behind bars. She simply cannot escape. This idiot also swore on his stone without thinking about the consequences. In any case, they had 444 days to postpone the verdict and correct the whole situation before her death. The girl and the guy wanted to finish each other off right now. Cloud waved his hand to put the book on the shelf using magic, but then everyone turned their attention to the door through which the demon queen entered. Her name was Villalria Itara. The author was delighted with the queen. He considered her the embodiment of elegance and divinity, beautiful blonde with long hair and brown eyes. But the Lord was not so happy to see her. Siren was disappointed in their relationship with the queen and in the Lord himself. This means that all his merits were embellished. She witnessed their quarrel because the queen came to them. But what was her surprise when the queen happily ran up to her, hugged her, and said that she had always dreamed of meeting her, and that this book was her favorite novel, which she reads before bed. The librarian told the queen what was the matter, and why they were all gathered here. The queen was angry that they had done this to the author of the book she read in her room at night, to which Cloud was indignant that she did not comply with his demands. Siren wondered what other demands this loser lord could present to the demon queen. The queen hugged Siren and said that if something happens to the author and the spin-off book does not come out, then she will finish off the lord. She touched the girl's hands, calling them golden. Valeria was angry that Cloud took her book and scolded him for being in her bedroom. Siren was surprised that they had different bedrooms. Another girl would have been angry that her fiancé was being taken away. But the queen was a fan of Siren and even subscribed to her author's SNS. The queen thought that if everything worked out well between Cloud and Siren, she would be removed and the spin-off novel would be released on time. She had a wonderful opportunity. Since they met, the queen asked the author to sign 2 books that she kept in a wooden box. One of them was an exclusive copy. Now Siren understood how the demon lord got an exclusive copy of her book for a limited edition for loyal readers. This was the queen's favorite book. The queen then started an argument over her book, shaming the lord for not responding to her marriage proposal. The author felt awkward being between them. The queen asked the servants to pack the chair and table where Siren was signing books. She wanted to take them with her to Atara and make them family heirlooms. Cloud asked Siren why in her novel the heroine tied Lord's wrists, and Valeria only ridiculed him for not knowing anything after 7 years of life in this world. In the demon world, demons appear in 2 ways, naturally and through incarnation. In the second version, the demons arrive as adults. 7 years ago, Cloud suddenly appeared in the southern region of the Empire of Night at the age of 25. He knows nothing about love, only about war and work. The queen shared with the author that Lord Cloud is a workaholic and is more interested in becoming the supreme emperor than in a romantic relationship. Therefore, her task is to bring the book into reality and teach the lord about love relationships. Siren thought he was really handsome. His facial features are both seductive and graceful. A slightly frowning look gives him a rough but at the same time sensual look. Queen Valeria decided that the author was the ideal teacher who could teach the king, who knew nothing about love, the joys of love. Siren was upset. How can she be a teacher if she herself had no experience in love? In addition, love is a concept about the relationship between a man and a woman. Cloud was also outraged. The Lord said that he could not concentrate on work for a week because of the meeting with this girl, and now he will have to endure her constantly. The queen reminded him that he swore on his stone. If he himself fulfills this agreement, he himself will die and make half of his subjects criminals. But the whole novel is about passion and desire. Forcing someone who knows nothing about lust is tantamount to bringing him to tears. Siren thought so. Siren suggested rewriting the epilogue, which only her editor saw. But the queen was outraged. The age rating will be violated. Then Siren had only one thing left to do: write a few more volumes. Then from the 4 volumes of the novel, it will be possible to choose something for implementation. The queen looked pleased, and Lord began to delve into the contents of the book and ask the author about the main characters. The main character's name is the name of the author in the human world. The author mentioned that the characters communicate informally. The queen said the Lord would let this rudeness pass, which made the couple laugh. They entered into a contract to bring half of the book, 5,500 Shadows of the Demon Lord, into reality. The queen was glad that the author would live with them. After all, this meant that there would be no disclosure of information and rumors. And besides, until the end of Siren's life, the queen will know all the novels of her favorite author. Cloud swore on his stone that he would try to fulfill all the terms of the contract. Siren extended her hand to the Lord to sign the contract. This surprised him. Every time she smiled, it was as if something was fluttering inside him. The Lord went to prepare the room for the girl. Lord Cloud entered his office. Using magic, he took a book from the shelf, put it on the table and began to read. He wanted to understand why Vilya liked this novel so much. The guy compiled a daily schedule of 30 lines. He thought of finishing this matter in a month. He decided to erase kisses and so on for the sake of the demon world. In fact, Lord admitted to himself that the book is quite entertaining and interestingly written, and the emotional component is also well described. It was hard to imagine that this novel was written by a virgin spirit. Someone asked Cloud if he was interested in reading. It's still better to close the door. Meanwhile, in her room, Siren rested on her soft bed, looking at the cobwebs in the corners, and I wondered how long it would take to clean my room. Someone knocked on the door and slipped her a letter on the floor. This was the daily schedule for the month starting today. There were even 3 sections from the book for today. Siren was outraged that Lord had already drawn up a daily schedule without waiting for her to continue the book. And today, they will have to implement 3 sections into reality. If this continues, she will spend this night in the same bed with the demon lord. And why, of all the possible ones, did he choose these particular chapters? The girl went around the castle to look for the lord to discuss the schedule. She blamed herself for describing intimate scenes in such detail. She had 2 or 3 sentences for one hand position. And why did Lord, who knows nothing about tactile contact, choose such explicit scenes? The author decided to immediately find him and correct the situation. Siren opened the room and, shocked by what she saw, cursed the paper. He was in the shower. She knew about his cute face but had no idea about his beautiful body. Cloud noticed that Siren was looking at his body and said that usually in such cases, people close their eyes. The girl apologized. Usually, when bathing, kings have many assistants. But here he dried himself with a towel and wrapped it around his belt. Drops of water were still flowing down his legs. The demon lord joked that Siren couldn't wait for the night and came to him early. She was indignant that this was not why she was here, and with a snap of his fingers he transferred her to the bed, ordered her to close her eyes and said that he would do everything quickly. They agreed to end this matter quickly. The demon lord told the girl that he knew why she came, turned off the light and climbed on top of her. She was pleased when he called her Irene Yu, which is her real name. She screamed that he had understood everything wrong, but she herself stared at his pumped-up body. Cloud stroked her face with his hand, as if about to kiss her. Her Majesty said that the Lord knew nothing about such things. Perhaps Siren has been a virgin spirit for too long and now cannot resist the male yang energy. Suddenly, Siren pushed Cloud away and asked if he had truly memorized her entire book, and this meant even more to the author than just reading it. The girl decided that he needed to distract him with something, and asked if he wanted to eat something sweet before bed. But this is not what the Lord needed. He called her Irene Yu, as in the novel, and not Siren Polex, as in her current life. This made her feel like her heart was about to jump out of her chest. The Lord sat down next to her, hugged her, and asked in her ear if she was afraid of him. The girl replied that in this form no one could be afraid of him. Cloud moved closer to her lips and said, "I would eat you like candy. I want to hug you right now." Siren replied that she was not ready for this yet. Yes, this is the world of demons, but she wouldn't do that to someone for whom she has no place in her heart. The Lord asked if there was a place for him in her heart, but as soon as she admitted that she was attracted to his face and body and voice, he got out of bed and said that one thing had already been done. Siren did not understand anything. Then Cloud told her that he had enchanted the moonlight crystal. It will glow when one scene from the book is brought to life. And now he was glowing. These were lines from her novel, "I would have eaten you like candy. I want to hug you right now." And why did she answer all his questions and admit that he was good? The Lord said that he didn't really mean to hug her, and the girl asked why there was such a hurry and asked him to get dressed, because he was still in a towel. The guy was indignant that she did not understand what was required of them, and did not want to do anything with someone for whom she had no feelings. And she got angry and said that she was simply not eager to sleep with him. Siren was angry at the Lord for how he treated her. She thought that he deserved to be the demon king. This is how he already pisses her off. Cloud said that he does not want to turn his subjects and her readers into criminals. And the author showed him his daily schedule and asked why this was then. He replied that today was just a warm-up. The last 5 days will be the most interesting. Something that makes his face turn red with shame just from reading it. The author said that Cloud learned about romance from reading just one book. She asked if they could cope without feelings. He replied that they would now have to spend the night together. The Lord realized that she did not like this idea, that she would spend the whole night with him. But since she was already a royal author, she couldn't ask him for anything more. But the girl still asked to change the schedule. In return, she promised to work hard to finish the spin-off. He gave her 3 months. This meant that Lord would revise his daily schedule and spread it out over 3 months. Siren was delighted. She achieved her goal. The next day, Siren started cleaning her room. She wanted to drink and get some water and went to the well in the yard. But the water barely dripped there. Siren wondered how long she would have to live here. Even if she brings half of her book to life, will the queen let her go? Or maybe she wants Siren to teach the inexperienced king the joys of love. The author also wanted to get a recommendation to the Royal Academy. The Royal Academy is the only educational institution between the counties of Light and Night. To enter there, you need very high scores. Another thing is a letter of recommendation. The flow of her thoughts was interrupted by the sudden appearance of a tall man in knightly armor. He greeted her, turned on the water in the well, and gave her a gift. Siren opened the box and there was an updated schedule from His Majesty. And the schedule for today indicated a secret meeting after the royal banquet. Siren was glad that the Lord considered her request, but it was still quite hot since she wrote it. Well, see you tonight, Demon Lord. In the evening, on Siren's bed lay a black dress, identical to the one in that chapter about the secret meeting after the banquet. The author admitted to herself that Lord is attentive to detail. Suddenly, Cloud entered the room and asked why it was not ready yet, because the clock was 15:40. She was in a pajama dress and had disheveled hair. With a snap of his fingers, the Demon Lord dressed Siren in a dress and gave her gorgeous curls. She was irresistible. That's why it's so important to study magic, the girl thought. She really liked the way she looked. Now she will definitely receive a letter of recommendation to the Royal Academy. The Lord did not take his eyes off her. They entered the royal bedroom. Siren reminded Cloud that in this scene he should tell her that he loves her while she drinks white wine and rip off her dress. The Lord said that he had to hurry, as he had a meeting with the Shadow Commander at 5 o'clock sharp, and he hung his moonlight crystal on the hanger. Siren asked Cloud to take off his tie and unbutton his shirt. She regretted that she had not taken off his shirt in the book, since she could not see his toned body and arms now. The girl covered her face with her hands but still peeked through her fingers. The Lord noticed this and laughed. But why is he so hot after being reborn as a demon? The Lord lay down on the bed and called Siren to get down to business. She agreed and climbed onto the bed, lay down next to him, but for some reason she could not look him in the eye. Siren took a long time to prepare herself to say this, and when she made up her mind, she said, "I love you, Simeon." And the Lord replied that he did not love her. The author was indignant that he could not simply play his role, and he replied that he just wanted to diffuse the situation with a joke, because it was too serious. Cloud conjured 2 glasses of champagne and handed one to the girl, and they drank, clinking their glasses together. Siren got drunk from one glass. When the Lord tore Siren's dress right on her, the moonlight crystal caught fire. This scene from the book was done. Cloud asked Siren to get off him, adding that there was no such scene of her crawling over him in the book, to which the girl replied that they do not have to follow everything that is written in the book. The Lord thought that the girl was either drunk or a curse on her when she began to undress him. She asked why he treated her like that. He didn't answer but pulled her towards him. She was lying right on top of him. Her dress was torn at the leg. His shirt was unbuttoned. When Cloud touched Siren's face with his hand and closed her eyes, she said that his lips were so alluring that she just wanted to grab them. And they merged in passionate kisses. Siren asked the Lord why he kissed her. He translated the question as to why her hand was on his back. She replied that she liked it that way. Both his face and voice are simply gorgeous and seductive to her. She admitted it and called him adorable, to which he said that she should go to bed now, otherwise she would regret it all in the morning. And he asked the knight to bring someone to help. The champagne made Siren sleepy, and she suggested they sleep together. She lay down on top of Cloud. His hand stroked her hair. He knew what to do thanks to her. He had learned everything in the book and now knew everything she might like. Siren remembered his tender kiss. The girl asked what she would receive for today. She would really like a letter of recommendation for the Royal Academy. When the author reminded Lord that he had sworn on the stone, he agreed to sign the letter. But in return, Siren promised kisses every day. Cloud took the pen and asked the girl where to sign. She showed him her bare back and said that this place would be suitable. Together with the Shadow Commander, a young man with blonde hair entered the room. He introduced himself as a friend of Milady. His name was Dylan Aldebaran. This was not just the girl's only friend in the world of demons, but also the general director and editor-in-chief of the demon publishing house. He was shocked to see the girl lying on the demon lord's chest. Dylan said she always acts like this when she drinks. Cloud suggested that this was not just intoxication, but a curse. Dylan replied that she just needed to sleep and asked him to cast a sleeping spell on her. The next morning, Siren woke up and surprisingly, she slept just fine. But what a surprise she was when she noticed her friend at her feet on the bed. She woke him up because she thought something had happened to him. And he said that he asked her not to drink alcohol anymore, because in the morning, she couldn't remember anything. The editor said that a Shadow Commander came to him in the evening and led him to her. She was unconscious, and the Lord was also surprised by this. The girl was unhappy when she heard about the Lord, and then the editor said that she lay unconscious on his chest, like a sleeping kitten. Siren thought that he made up this whole story so that she would not drink anymore. But he said that he knew everything about them, the story with the Lord from the Shadow Commander. The girl just wanted to disappear, jump out the window out of shame. He said that he knows that they kissed, but no one knows what happened next and she doesn't remember it. Siren asked the editor if she would go to jail for what she had done, to which he replied that it was unlikely, because he looked at her with such tenderness and cared about her. Dylan invited the girl to drink the Devil's Wing 808 drink. It helps get rid of a hangover and restore lost memories after heavy drinking. The girl's memories from last night began to return. She was shocked that she remembered her hand stroking the Lord's naked body. Dylan asked what she remembered. From her eyes, he realized something frightening. She wanted to tell him, but suddenly there was a knock on the door. A tall man in a white uniform with blonde hair entered their room. This was a former baron, now the commander of the water faction. Siren bowed to the blue commander of the night. His name was Abel Celia. She introduced herself as Siren Polex and added that she was a court writer. Abel said he had heard about her. He asked her not to do anything extreme and refrain from rash actions if she wanted to enter the Royal Academy. The girl was surprised that he knew about her desire to enter the Royal Academy. In her head, there was a memory of the Lord signing her back. She thought to herself that it was stupid to sign the letter of recommendation on the back and not on paper. She replied that she had lost the note, but that she would give it to him soon. Siren and Dylan watched as the door closed behind the Baron. Siren told him jokingly that if there was no news from her until tomorrow, then she would bequeath all her things and the house to him. When Siren entered the Lord's office, she apologized for entering, and he answered her. Did something happen yesterday for which an apology was required? The Lord asked if she was able to enroll in the Royal Academy, to which she replied that he signed it on her back, but it should also be on paper. Cloud said that it would be a little problematic, and asked her to make a choice, from above or from below. She chose from below. He picked her up, supporting her legs, and carried her somewhere. The girl could only resign herself and wait for him to sign. The author asked how he would use magic. Cloud replied that he would put his hand over the signature and it would go straight to the academy. Then Siren understood what it meant to choose from above or from below. Since she chose from below, he will lift her dress and get to the signature on the back. Siren asked him to stop and called him Simeon, as in the book. Now that she understood what he would do, she chose the option above. Cloud said he knew what she wanted, and pulled the strap of her dress off her shoulder. The girl said he just needed to undo the buttons on the back of the dress. She didn't want him to see her face, red as a tomato, while he used his hand to search for his signature on her body, stroking her back. When the Lord found his signature and with the help of magic, it was transported to the academy. He asked if it hurt. The girl replied that it was a little but tolerable. Then he asked if she could be released now. She replied that it was possible, and he abruptly threw her to the floor. She fell and hit herself painfully. Siren was upset that he did this to her. But suddenly they heard someone standing at the door. The Lord opened the door, and there was the Queen. The Queen overheard their conversation. Siren was very embarrassed that they were being overheard. Vilya asked the Lord to teleport the author to her palace. Valeria said that she came to the Lord because of this daily schedule, showing a bundle of paper. She asked if he liked the author as a girl. She noticed that the Lord is in love with the author, and this is no longer a game as it was before. The king replied that he was not interested in such a feeling as love. The queen recalled that when a demon falls in love, the object of his affection emits a pleasant smell of fresh fruit. And this girl just smelled like peaches. The The Lord reminded the queen that she had sworn on her stone, and she cannot return to Ethera until she finishes the general education reform. It was 7 years ago during the war. The Lord wanted to kill Valeria's brother in order to become a single emperor. Then Claude Stern killed all the tyrant demons. She swore on her stone that she would help him in this if he left her brother alive. Cloud agreed. This was the only case of pardon. Her brother's name was Bislab Atara. He was the Lord of Atara and sucked all the juice out of the demons. He was supposed to die, but thanks to Vilia's oath he was sealed. The queen was indignant that because of helping someone, she was forced to be here and could not return to Atara. Cloud said that all that was left there was just an empty castle. Vilia said that she would pray before going to bed so that the future emperor could work hard even at night. What does this mean? She added that people would start to worry if the future monarch and his wife did not have heirs. And the queen went to her place. Her Majesty's assistant, Rosalia, prepared a bath for her. The queen asked me to bring her a waterproof version of the book, 5,500 Shadows of the Demon Lord. Having plunged into the bath, she picked up the phone and noticed that the author had not updated her page on social networks for a long time. Valaria, as a fan, was upset by this. The queen was wondering if she liked it in their castle, and if she was going to run away after what happened, and if she could continue her work. Then she came up with the idea of sending her assistant Rosalia to serve in the author's castle. For refusal, she threatened to cut off her head, and for her consent, she promised to take her with her to Atara. The girl was happy that the queen would take her with her and said that she would do anything. The queen asked Rosalia to do her best to serve the author well, so that she can make sure that the author is comfortable so that she can easily fall in love. Siren went out onto her luxurious balcony and saw people. One guy waved his hand at her. There was also a girl and a guy in uniform, the commander of the Blue Knights. She recognized the guy who was waving at her. This was Sir Ray Field, the master of the earth element on the continent of Night, and also the captain of the Golden Knights. And Siren knew him as Dylan Aldebrand's drinking buddy and best friend. He introduced her to Rosalia, her new maid, who was sent to her by the queen. Rosalia greeted the author and asked to call her any time she needed her. She said that she would be glad to serve her. Siren said that the maid was too much for her personally, to which Rosalie was upset and asked the author to take care of her since she was sent here. Then the author asked her to show her around the Demon Lord's palace tomorrow. Surprise was visible on the faces of everyone present. Sir Ray asked Siren if she didn't know what day it was tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the induction ceremony into the Royal Academy, but first she will need to pass the exams. Sir asked if she had finished registering for the exams. Siren remembered with horror that the Academy rejected the applications of half the candidates based on exam results. But the guy in uniform reminded her that she would be accepted into the Academy, no matter how low her scores were, because she already had a letter of recommendation, and especially since her recommender is the head of the Royal Academy himself. Siren was surprised that the Demon Lord was the head of the Academy. Sir Ray said that the original Academy was in a very poor state, and when the Lord took over it turned into a luxurious educational institution. Siren also learned that Sir Ray was a student of this academy along with the commander of the Blue Knights. And then the academy had only one building. Imagine her surprise when Sir Ray said that he would give her a failing grade for being late. It turned out that he works there as a professor. Sir reported that the Lord carried out a purge among the nobles who possessed magic, and so they now have a staffing shortage at the academy. Siren's personal assistant, Rosalia, brought in a huge stack of books. She put them on the table, wiping the sweat from her face with her hand. Siren had to read them. The author was horrified because in addition to language, mathematics, and science, she also had to learn demonology, the theory of magic and alchemy. Well, nothing can be done about it. She wants to go to the academy. The best-selling author decided to recall the cramming skills of a Korean high school student. The next day, Siren left the academy very tired because she spent all her energy on studying. She almost fell exhausted when she was caught by the commander of the Blue Knights. In any case, the exams were over. She tried hard and did well. The guy seemed very good-natured and sweet to the girl. She asked if he was busy now, to which he replied that he would find time to show her around the campus. There she will lecture on the basics of magic. The girl noticed that this landscape around the academy was completely different from the Empire of Night. After all, the academy is a place between the empires of day and night. An unlimited number of demons from 2 empires came to enroll in this academy. The Demon Lord is looking for talented people who will then work with him. The Blue Knight commander greeted the demon lord. The lord came to the opening ceremony with a congratulatory address. He wanted to talk to Siren before the ceremony. When they were alone, he asked how she was feeling and whether she had eaten anything. She replied that she was eating the sandwich that Sir Abel gave her. Lord said he didn't want her to pass out while bringing another scene from the book to life. Siren finally persuaded Cloud to let her rest today and not do scenes from the book. She waved her hand at him and he went about his business. The girl took her place in the audience. They said that the entrance ceremony would begin now. Enough people have already gathered. Lord Cloud entered the audience with Queen Valeria. Siren did not take her eyes off him and admired his smile. She thought he was cute. The Lord began his introductory speech about how the Academy was training gem-wielding demons on how to become stronger, to protect those who do not possess precious stones. The girl noticed someone's gaze on her. It was a guy with green hair who was sitting on top. He sat closer to her. The guy introduced himself. His name was Kermit Glacia. And when she said her name, he replied that he knew that she was Saren Pollax. He also added that he knew that she had become the mistress of the demon lord. She asked him how he even knew it was her, to which he replied that he knew what she looked like because he saw her with Mayor Abel walking on the street. And I realized that this must be the same girl who was with the demon lord. Kermit said he never misses a rumor as he has a keen interest in investment technology. He also added that he is involved in stocks. When the girl asked him why he was looking at her so intently, he answered her that his heart began to pound wildly at the sight of her. She blushed, and he replied that he bought a lot of shares on a wave of interest with the concubines, and then noticed her, and he thought that was a sign that the stock would go up. Siren asked why not sell the shares, to which he replied that stocks don't work like that, you need to wait until they rise. As Valeria Atara began her acceptance speech, Kermit revealed that she was going to be the first girl to become the Lord of the Kingdom. Valeria had great support from the people. She thought that the throne would go to her. But then her younger brother was born, and she was deprived of her status as an heiress. But Villia inherited one of the 8 rare gems of the demon realm. This is Lily in her hair, a stone of the wind element passed down in the Atara family. Siren asked Kermit how he knew all this, because this information is well hidden. He replied that she should read stock market information and gossip articles. The girl decided not to appear with the Lord in public places anymore, so that there would be no such gossip. Otherwise, it may interfere with her studies. The next morning, she was woken up by her assistant, Rosalie. She said that the Lord ordered them to stay in his castle until he came. He must decide on the definition of the element. Siren thought that the fact that she was studying at the academy should not affect the playback schedule of the scenes. When Siren met Cloud, she was happy, and he said that when she received the highest scores in the exams, he would inform her guardian about it. For accidentally incarnated demons without family members, guardians are called. And since he gave her a recommendation, he is now her guardian. It's time for the scene. Siren had to sit on top of Cloud with her legs over him as he sat on the bed. The position was very uncomfortable. Her legs were shaking. She asked him to kiss her quickly. The position was uncomfortable. Then Cloud invited her to sit directly on him. He held her by the waist. As Lord kissed Siren's neck, his phone rang. The girl has already imagined how she was chosen as the best student who passed our exams with the highest scores. But His Majesty was informed that Siren Pollax had failed all the exams except one in Korean. He was angry that he recommended such a mediocre student. Now the guardian must go with her to a consultation with the teacher. But the Lord had no time to do this, and he said that Her Majesty would go with her. Siren burst into tears that he did not want to go with such a mediocre student like her. She thought that she was useless in this life too. As they rode in the car to the academy, the queen told her not to worry. This is just a reason for the algebra teacher to look at her. Siren was worried that the Lord could not go with her, and she asked the queen if he wanted her to be his concubine. To this the queen replied that of course he wanted this, and she told the girl why she was trying so hard to bring them together. The queen admitted that from one touch to Cloud, she lights up with anger like a match, that she hates the color black because of the darkness that envelops the demon lord. 7 years ago, on the day the war ended, she witnessed the natural birth of darkness, but she is not offended by the Lord for wounding her brother. Moreover, if Cloud had not sealed him, she would have had to kill her brother herself. This is what the public wanted. Therefore, this was the best outcome. Both her father and her brother were more despotic than the most cruel tyrants. They were insatiable and killed other citizens of the demon world. Siren read about it in a book. that the lords of the continents of day and night were exploiting their citizens. When Cloud came to power, everything changed. Because of these tyrants, some demons fled to neutral lands. The queen admitted that she decided to save her brother, because he was still dear to her. The girl asked why the queen agreed to help Cloud become a unified emperor. Vilya replied that she could give him political advice. Since the queen comes from the royal family of Atara, and Cloud is a war hero, but this means little. He could not become emperor without her. His Majesty is a good king and emperor of the demon realm. There is no greater gift that he can bestow on his people than the unification of the entire kingdom. And what the queen said next shocked the girl. Valeria asked her to become His Majesty's concubine. The queen revealed that she plans to return to Atara after the Lord achieves his goals. But until then, she remains a loyal queen to her citizens. Siren clarified with the queen that if a new queen appears, she will return to Atara. The queen said she would then not have to issue a formal resignation letter. Valeria couldn't just run away because she swore to help the Lord on her stone, who went to Atara with her brother. Therefore, she was very happy when Siren appeared in the castle. She told her not to worry. A little time will pass and the Lord confesses his love to her. He could not possibly fall in love with the queen, and would not even allow her to sit next to her until she had learned governance and monarchy to perfection. Valeria promised Siren to get her into the academy, and she asked me to later include a scene with the academy in the book. The author agreed. Rector Spica welcomed Her Majesty to the academy. The queen asked to tell them what was wrong with Siren's points. She showed the queen her grades, and she added that with such scores it would be very difficult for her to study at the academy. The rector also asked why His Majesty personally recommended this lady. The queen replied that she was the royal author, determining the future of the royal palace. After all, new experience is the basis for creativity. Then Rector Spica approached the girl, took her face with her hands and used magic on her. Then she said that since this was the Lord's order, it must be carried out. She invited Siren to go with her into the hall to look at her stone. The girl became worried. Knowledge of the stone was determined using a moon-colored crystal. Moonlight crystal is more valuable than diamonds in the human world. Once the magic is injected into the crystal, it will be there until it breaks. That's why they are so valuable. The girl noticed one student crying. He didn't show his stone. Most students drop out of the academy because of elementary magic. Lord asked Rayfield to help him evaluate his next student, which in his opinion will definitely fail his test. Rayfield gave Siren the moonlight crystal. He put his hand on her and told her to close her eyes. She closed her eyes and counted to herself. 1, 2, 3. The crystal in her hands glowed so brightly that it blinded everyone around. The library director said it was the element of light. The girl asked what the fire might be, but he clarified what exactly it was light. He said that she had the same element as His Majesty. The girl realized that she had the element of light. Lord Cloud lost consciousness and fell to the floor. Siren thought that the Lord was so shocked that she had the rarest element that he lost consciousness and fell. The Queen ordered His Majesty to be taken home, and Siren was thinking about what happened. She thought it might be better to have no element at all than to have one. Suddenly, from behind, a guy called her with a hand on her shoulder. It was Kermit. He said she creates problems wherever she goes. And if only I knew what kind of crystal she had, I would buy the corresponding shares. She got angry at him and said that she didn't know. In any case, he greeted her for being in the same class F. He reminded her how she said in the exam yesterday that the questions were easy. Siren would like to discuss with him how she failed her exams. But today, all that was on her mind was what happened to the Demon Lord, and she couldn't think about anything else. Rector Spica, seeing her condition, asked the girl to return to the Demon Lord's palace. She said goodbye to Kermit and went to the palace. First of all, she began to ask her assistant Rosalie about the Lord's health. She wondered if the Demon Lord had ever lost consciousness like this before. Rosalie replied that the bishop monitors his health very carefully, and he had never experienced such loss of consciousness before. Then Siren asked if he had any bad habits. Rosalie replied that he stays up all night solving important government affairs. And besides, he likes to eat sweets at night like caramel. And he gets overtired a lot during the day. This explains a lot. People do this regularly too. Demons are a species that derive sustenance from committing sins. Not necessarily things like murder or theft, but rather the little things in life. But Siren was still surprised that the Demon Lord liked caramels. He looks like someone who eats healthy. When Siren opened the Demon Lord's room, she saw many people gathered above his bed. There was a girl unknown to Siren who bent over the Lord. It was Daphne Rain, captain of the Knights of the Silver Wind. She specializes in healing magic. Daphne informed the author that His Majesty had not yet woken up, and the Lord immediately opened his eyes and asked how long he had been unconscious. Daphne replied that 30 minutes had passed, and there were no external or internal injuries. The Queen informed Siren that His Majesty's element is darkness, and Miss Author's element is light. During the war, she leafed through the book on light and darkness. Valeria didn't know the details, but said that it mentioned that the elements of light and darkness could influence each other. She read it at the beginning of the war, and then it was banned. The nobles ordered a ban on information about the element of light, so not much is known about it. Perhaps this book was from a noble collection. Siren asked Segan, the director of the library, if he knew anything about the book that the Queen mentioned. He answered in the negative. Sagan said he had no reason to seek information about the element of light, but he'll do it now. And he took out his tablet, which surprised Siren. She thought that modern technology is good, but why not use magic? The director managed to find the book Light and Darkness, and the author of the book was Paul Segan. How is this possible? After all, he just said that he has no information about the light element. Cloud asked the Queen to remember something else from the book. The Queen also remembered that light is the element that is most easily polluted. Therefore, it is most sensitive to poison or alcohol, for example. It appears that Siren Pollux is indeed a light elementalist. The girl decided to leave the royal chambers for a moment to write to Dylan. She wanted to write about alcohol, but she was bothered by the fact that she didn't want Lord to recover. She felt like she wanted him dead. Her thoughts were interrupted by Daphne's scream that His Majesty had lost consciousness again, and Siren ran into his room again. When he felt better, Cloud called Sir Corona. The Queen sent everyone to their jobs since the Lord no longer needed them. Siren also went to her room. She was thinking that maybe the Demon Lord got sick because of her. But suddenly Sir Corin appeared in her room. He came by order of the Queen. Sir led her to the Queen. Villia told her that they were truly a destined couple, a pair of light and darkness. Siren, as a possessor of the element of light, can heal. It turns out that only she can heal His Majesty now, and the Queen asked Siren to remain alone with him and continue to be with him. Siren asked why he was lying naked under the blanket. She replied that he liked to take cold showers, but now he had a fever. The girl also noticed petals on the bed, candles, bath bombs, feathers, and a blindfold. When she asked the Queen about all this, she said that the bathroom would fit both of them. Willia ran out of the room, leaving them alone. Then she returned, turned on the music on the speaker, and added that the bathroom had a foam function so that Siren would definitely try it. When the Queen left again, the girl tried to turn off the music, but she couldn't. Cloud asked if she wanted to turn off the radio. Just in case, she said that she wasn't the one who turned on the radio. The Lord stood up, but he still didn't feel very well, so she invited him to lie down. Cloud noticed her staring at his body again. Siren thought he would want to reenact scenes from the book, but he only asked her to be nearby and sit quietly. The girl lay down next to him in bed. Even when he was sick, he seemed very attractive to her. She asked him to turn away. Cloud looked straight into her eyes. Then she asked the Lord what color his eyes were. He replied that they were probably black. Siren said blue-violet. Siren asked why the one who appeared 7 years ago still doesn't know his eye color. He replied that there was simply no reason to look in the mirror. Then the girl asked if it was true that he liked to eat sweets before bed. He didn't answer. Then she asked if he had fainted from stress. She thought that her light element might have affected his opposite, and his blood pressure would rise. How the owners of water and fire do not get along with each other. Cloud admitted that he already knew that she had the element of light, and he said that since her element is very rare, she is in danger. There is a group that hunts the owners of the elements. Then Siren asked if it was in vain that she entered the academy. Now she's in danger. The Lord replied, maybe he should sign somewhere else so that she wouldn't be able to enroll. Every time he takes a shower, he remembers signing her name on her back. Cloud hugged her tighter. Siren kept trying to remember which scene from the book it was, with the petals and the candles, but she couldn't. If this is so, then there must be recognition. But Cloud kissed Siren passionately, and he named her Siren Pollux. It wasn't from a novel. He kissed her again, so he wanted it himself. She asked if he was drunk, to which he replied that he was already feeling better. Siren asked him to answer how he felt about her. He replied that he knew her. Siren said he liked her. Now this thought will be spinning in his head all the time, and he will understand that he likes her. The girl kissed the Lord and said that his feelings were obvious to everyone. She said that he filed a lawsuit against her because he could not distinguish frustration from love. Siren began to blackmail Cloud that she would play with his feelings if he did not confess. She'll kiss him and ignore him and all that. Lord said that he would not be the first to admit his feelings. Siren replied that it was a pity and she wanted to give him a little kiss. She turned away from him on the bed, deciding to sleep. She added that he is the type of person who chooses the thorny path rather than the shortest one. It doesn't matter how great the war hero is, the Demon Lord. This fight ended in her favor. At least that's what she thought. Siren woke up happy next to the Lord. He said it was time for her to go to the academy. She replied that she wanted to eat sandwich first. The door to the room opened wide and 2 maids brought in trays of her favorite dishes for her. There was sandwich, scrambled eggs and sausages, and even cake. Then Siren went to the academy. On the street near the academy, she met Kermit. He asked if she had read Gerald's post today. There was an article stating that now disclosing the identity of those who own the element is prohibited by law. The Lord did this especially for her. Kermit said he made the right decision to buy shares associated with the concubines. After all, the Demon Lord values her so much. Siren decided to change the topic and asked the guy what courses he chose. To which he replied that they do not choose courses. Those who are in Group A choose first, and they are in Group F. In Group A are the students who scored the highest scores in the exams, and in Group F are those who passed through connections. Group F students will not be able to attend Knight Commander lectures. The guy who approached them told them about this. This was the guy whose crystal lit up. Siren asked Kermit if he knew him. He introduced himself as Jade Gerald, the youngest son of a newspaper magnate. He was upset because he was supposed to get all the newbies' attention. Jade asked Siren if she had read today's article. Siren replied that the royal court publishes posts, and that means he investigates at night, since he is a vampire. Siren thought this was a great character for a teen novel. The son of a conglomerate, also a vampire. It stirred her blood as a novelist. He was again outraged that Siren had taken all his attention and challenged her to a duel. To which she replied that she doesn't even know how to cast magic, and that 2 laps of jogging would exhaust her. Gerald said that as soon as it was discovered that Siren was a light elementalist, all attention turned to her. It wasn't enough for him to be the top applicant. He added that the most important thing for him is the trust of His Majesty Cloud. Kermit said the rumors don't lie about how much he admires him. His Majesty receives enormous support from all over the demon world, such as an idol group who, at the peak of their popularity, announce a world tour. But this guy, Jade loves him so much that if he knew what Siren was doing this morning before she came to the academy, it would have ended badly for her. Jade admired Cloud for freeing slaves, establishing anti-discrimination laws, and even being generous enough to forgive his enemies. He also added that Lord keeps the audience at the expense of the best students of each year. But because of her, he didn't finish and she didn't understand what she was accused of. Jade starts pestering Siren again with questions about how she got into the academy. She replied that through the Demon Lord. He then switched to Kermit. He said that he heard how Kermit was called to the rector because of the incident with the bats, and in general he is a resident of the Empire of Light. This surprised Siren. Gerald said that their inhabitants are despicable bastards who were forgiven by the Demon Lord for crimes worthy of execution, and they didn't even swear allegiance to him. Kermit told the vampire to shut up, that he was only fit for the King of Fools. He replied, "Why doesn't Kermit leave the academy himself and make life easier for the commander of the knights?" This angered Kermit, and he said that the object of his affection was in love with this loser with the element of light. This news hurt Jade, and he challenged Siren Pollax to a duel. Siren was shocked. She repeated again that she did not even know how to use magic, to which he replied that she should fight and show him the battle of the owner of the element of light. She looked at Kermit. She expected support from him, and he told her that if she doesn't have the courage, then she simply cannot study here. Jade had already raised his sword above his head and swung it. Siren covered her face with her hands. Suddenly, the guy found himself tightly tied with ropes. Sir Ray and Sir Abel approached them. The commander of the Blue Knights praised Jade for his ability to control fire. This captivated the guy. Sir Ray added that if even one hair falls from Siren's head, the one who offends her will be executed. "This is an order from His Majesty Cloud." The guy asked in shock why the Lord needed to protect this girl. He was told that the protection of the owner of the element of light would soon become the body of state moisture. The commander of the Blue Knights invited Jade Gerald to go with him to the lecture, since he was his leader. The guy was bewitched. He had a new idol. And Sir Ray invited the others and said that he was the leader of Group F, and they had to go and sign up for a lecture with the Knight Commander. But everyone was already busy. Kermit said that someone must be chosen to be the commander of the Knights of the Empire of Light. Because before the war, the continent was ruled by the 4 strongest families. These were water, earth, air, and fire. 4 rulers from the Empire of Darkness and 4 rulers from the Empire of Light. Previously, the Demon Lord's castle belonged to Celia from the Dark Empire, Celia Water from the Empire of Darkness, and Atara Air from the Empire of Light ruled their lands together. But that was 7 years ago. The Demon Lord then destroyed their stones. Siren thought that if Atara survived thanks to a fake marriage contract with His Majesty, then what about Celia? She decided to ask Kermit how the Celia family survived the war. The commander of the Blue Knights answered her that with the help of deception and corruption. Kermit confirmed his words that they survived by dishonest means. He also told her that the Demon Lord knew that Sir Abel was not a pure-blood Celia. He was born one night from a concubine. Initially, the Lord should be his brother. Siren thought this was strange, since before the war all the lords were tyrants. But Sir Abel was not like that and did not rule with the help of a dictatorship. Any facts about the war were hushed up and kept secret. And since she has only been in this world for a year, she doesn't really know anything about that war. Sir Abel killed his brother and was able to inherit the title. In any case, having no combat experience, he was sent by Celius as Lord at the final battle of Atara. Would the Demon Lord have spared Sir Abel if he knew this? In response, Sir Abel offered to give the palace to Celia as gratitude. Still, Siren believed that there must be a reason why the Demon Lord spared Abel, Lord of Celia. According to tradition, the Lord of Celia rules the Empire of Darkness as its overlord. Looks like they screwed up the registration and had the wrong schedule. And they had to go to the Dean. They should have signed up for classes earlier. Dean Stika told them that the 2 of them were the last ones to sign up for classes. They responded that Jade Gerald started a fight with them in the yard. Then the Dean said that they had a choice. Either they take 2 courses every day and do not go home, or all their classes are packed into 2 days. They chose the former. Dean Stika asked Siren how His Majesty was feeling. She added that she was surprised that he lost consciousness because he is usually in excellent shape. Siren replied that Her Majesty remembered reading a book about divergence and prescribed the medicine correctly. The girl did not tell her about her personal things. The Dean suggested that the girl was referring to the book that Paul Sagan wrote, On Light and Darkness, and that he himself did not remember. Siren's eyes widened in surprise, and now the Dean asked if she wanted the library director to regain his memory. Siren suggested that these might be unpleasant memories. Stika told the girl that she could help him restore his memory. She handed her a box with a precious stone on the latch, and she asked me to touch the stone. This box will create candies using its demonic power. She will need to give him one a day, and gradually she will see the result. Siren thought that means she has demonic powers that can cure amnesia, and she was destined to become a healer. She thanked the Dean and went to the castle. Lord Cloud met Siren at the door. She was happy to see him. She asked if he was waiting for her. After all, she said that he would be in her game. He asked her about her schedule. She replied that she would not be in the palace 2 days a week. Lord asked if she could change her schedule. The girl asked why her king was so kind to her. He jokingly replied that he was worried about her spin-off series, and she called him a handsome liar. To which Lord said that she couldn't just be late for registration. She probably got into trouble again. He was curious about her day. Siren said that once he confessed his feelings to her, he could kiss her whenever he wanted. The Lord thought about it, and Siren added an amendment not at any time, but when their views converge or when in an embrace. She wants it to be beautiful, like in her novels. And then suddenly she trips on the steps and falls on Cloud. He caught her and asked if that counted, and they maintained eye contact for a long time. Siren kept thinking, why doesn't he kiss her? And a moment later they kissed. She stood on her toes to reach him. He knew her book inside and out. He knew exactly what she liked. It drove her crazy. Cloud told Siren how he felt about her. They were interrupted by Koran, who appeared out of nowhere with a serious question. Now what to do with this confession? Which did not take place because they were interfered with. Koran said that he went to the day continent as they ordered. And there I found a list of more than 50 sandwich recipes from Chef Gonzalez Gacho. This is Siren's favorite chef in the demon world. And she mentioned in the morning that she wanted samix. This is a type of sandwich. Cloud blushed at her gaze. Koran said that he had been serving him for 7 years now, and he did not need to be told for him to understand that it was all for Miss Pollix's sake. Koran went to the kitchen with the recipes, leaving them alone. Siren wanted to hear Cloud's confession, but he said he forgot what he wanted to say, and he asked Siren to follow him. They entered the library where Her Majesty and Paul Segan were sitting. Siren gave him the box and told him about the sweets. Siren asked if Rector Spica was an expert on divergence. The Queen replied that she was the most loyal member of the Dawn Society. This was the second time the girl had heard about this society. If that vampire got angry remembering him, then maybe they are hunting vampires. She thought so. The Queen revealed that the Dawn Society worships the god who created the demon world. They were on the continent of night before the war, but now this religion is considered heresy. Now Siren understood why that guy was so obsessed with powerful people. She decided to check the candy box. The girl touched the stone, it lit up. There was one piece of candy in the box. Paul Segan tried it. It tasted like a peach due to Siren's magic. He immediately noticed that his chronic migraine had gone away. The Queen said that he would not get better overnight, and that he should continue to take his medicine. The Queen turned her attention to Siren, and noticed that she and Cloud made a beautiful couple. She also remembered that the envoy from the Day continent would arrive in a few days. The Queen mentioned that whenever an envoy visits, the king throws a banquet for a whole week, and that Siren should join them. When Siren shared this news with Rosalie, she was very happy. She said that the Queen could send her an outfit for the occasion. Valeria loves to give gifts. Rosalie asked if Siren was familiar with the protocol. Siren realized that she would have to study something all night again. Celian Banquet Protocol. Since they live in Celia Castle, they follow this protocol. The banquet is a dining event, but the issues of the Day continent and the Night continent are discussed. Rosalie said it would be better for the library director to explain it to her. Paul Segan decided to start with a simple exam with questions about the current and customs of the Day continent. Paul Segan asked Siren several questions to which she answered incorrectly or did not know the answer. The demon lord entered the library. Siren greeted him as per protocol. She said that she was studying etiquette according to the Celian protocol. The king asked Segan how the training was going. Paul replied that Siren would have a large stack of papers to study before next week. She went to read them in her room, and the lord followed her. They entered the room and Siren kissed Cloud, and she asked if that wasn't what he wanted. But he replied that his moonlight crystal did not glow. This meant that he had scenes planned for today. She took the script out of his jacket and said that it was quite difficult, and asked him to postpone it until tomorrow. To which he asked if she thought she had voting rights, and he added that she needed to go to the academy tomorrow. Then Siren agreed to do everything today. Cloud replied that they could handle the scene. They spent 3 hours whispering and kissing tenderly in bed, and he hung his crystal on the candlestick. Siren lay down in bed and decided that she would study the librarian's notes. She asked for now to start with him kissing her hands. Cloud obediently began to kiss her hand from palm to shoulders, sometimes biting it. Siren was indignant that the notes contained more questions than answers. The Lord replied that perhaps it was a magical paper and it would manifest itself if she did everything right. The girl asked him to lie down next to her. She needed help and wanted him to answer questions. Cloud asked why he had to do this. She replied that his beloved Siren was asking him. The first question was this. It was necessary to name all the current commanders of the academy. The Lord was indignant that she did not even know this. In the Empire of Darkness, the Earth faction is Rayfield. The Water faction is Abel Celia. The Flame faction is Victoria Scarlet. And the Air faction is Daphne Ray. Koran is also a shadow commander. Siren asked if it was true that there was not a single commander in the Empire of Light. Cloud replied that Iris Rain from the Water faction was exiled there. So now all 6 are assembled. Iris is Daphne Rain's older sister. Siren remembered that this was a healer who came to Cloud's aid when he was unconscious. The next question was, the best publishing house in the Empire of Night. She knew this, the publishing house Demon, and the owner, Dylan Aldebaran, is her best friend. Siren expected Cloud to be jealous of Dylan, and he still asked what they had in common. Siren replied that this was her best friend. She knew that he was jealous of her. The Lord stroked her hair. Next was the question of the ranking system. Cloud asked if she was familiar with the 7 deadly sins. She replied that it was pride, anger, greed, envy, lust, gluttony, and despondency. The Lord added that these are the vices that the citizens of the demonic world strive for. All citizens fall into one of these categories, and rancor will encourage someone to commit these sins. For example, the most famous chef in the county, Chef Gonzalez Nacho, has the beginnings of a glutton. Gluttony makes demons want to taste more food. For example, the beginnings of gluttony can make you starve or overeat. Siren remembered that she always felt hungry when meeting Gonzalez Nacho. Then the girl asked about envy. Who is susceptible to envy? Cloud asked her to guess. She named Beelzebart Ethar, the queen's brother, but he had the beginnings of anger. He angered the townspeople. Cloud asked her to guess further and began stroking her waist. Then Siren said that he also had a germ. She said out loud that the germ of envy was embedded in him. The girl added that he is the one who is most envied in the demon world. Cloud looked at his watch and said it was time to finish. The moonlight crystal began to glow. Siren asked if he was upset that time was up. He just looked at her. They merged in passionate kisses lying on the bed. The crystal glowed again. Lord said it was better to do more scenes at once. He added that this is pending research. Otherwise, Siren was not thinking about this at all. The next morning, Siren woke Rosalie. Siren thought it was time for her to go to class, but Rosalie said that today is a banquet. The girl began to get dressed in a hurry. She had spent so much time preparing for it that she simply could not afford to be late. Rosalie stood frozen in front of Siren in her dress. The assistant told her she looked great. You just need to comb your hair to the side. Siren agreed with her. Siren entered the library and called Mr. Seagun. But there was only Sir Abel there with a book in his hands. He didn't expect to see her here. She introduced herself to him according to etiquette. Siren Pollack's court author. Her hands held her chic pink dress with a bow, and a decoration in the form of flowers on the hair. Sir Abel said she looked like a completely different person. Paul Segan came up to them and said he was proud of her. The demon lord entered the library. Siren couldn't resist asking him if she looked bomb. Paul Segan asked her to follow the rules of etiquette. Then she asked Lord if she looked charming. He didn't answer. Then she asked Corona, and he replied that she was excellent. They slapped each other's hands. For some reason, his strength weakened at first when Siren's abilities were revealed. But now Karan's strength is restored next to her. A lot of people had already gathered in the hall, and it was time for them to go to the banquet. First, they provided Demon Lord Cloudstern and Her Majesty Queen Valeria. Siren noticed that the queen was upset. She thought maybe one of her relatives was here that she didn't want to see. When the music started, the guests began to dance. Siren called Sir Abel and he asked if she was ready to dance. She replied that she was not ready. Suddenly a girl appeared and asked Sir Abel to dance, and he refused her. As it turned out, this is not the first time. It was Iris Rain, captain of the water forces, temporarily residing in the Empire of Light, also Lady Daphne's sister. Abel refused her, turned around and leaving, added that he did not want to dance at all if it came to her. Rayfield clapped his hands. Ray asked Iris what it would be like to be rejected for the 486th time. She decided that she still wouldn't give up. Siren approached her and introduced herself as the royal writer. Iris asked what her relationship was with Sir Abel. The author said that she is not in love with Sir Abel, and she has nothing to worry about. But she asked how she could trust her. To which Siren replied that her heart was already taken. This was not enough for Iris. She wanted to know who he was. Siren didn't know what to say. Luckily, the demon lord approached them. Cloud asked Iris why she cared about the royal writer. She greeted His Majesty, and she introduced herself as befits etiquette. His Majesty said that they have a lot to do tomorrow, so that she can rest well after the banquet. And Iris bowed to them and left. Cloud told Siren that Iris saw her as an archenemy, to which the girl replied that it would be so if she and Sir Abel were lovers. Siren noticed that he had the ability to always appear at the most opportune moment. Could this be because he thinks about her all the time? Unexpectedly, Cloud asked Siren if she would come to him at night. She kissed him on the lips, and she invited him to her room at night. Night has come. Siren entered her room and he was already there. She said she was embarrassed that he came at her call alone. He replied that he knew what she wanted to say. And they merged in a kiss again. Cloud then took off the girl's gloves to kiss her hands. And he took off his jacket and began to unbutton his shirt. Suddenly there was a knock on their door. Siren, just in case, suggested that the Lord hide in the closet. You never know who among the guests could see him here. Siren opened the door. Rosalie was there. She said that a guest had come to my lady. It was Eglon Atara. He introduced himself to the author, but he already knew about her. The girl knew about him that he was from the Valeria family. But he comes from a side branch of the family, so he did not inherit the throne. According to the librarian's notes, he was appointed ruler of Atara after the war, replacing the queen's brother. Maybe it was Valeria who didn't want to see him. Eglon asked Siren why the king was with her at the banquet and did not take his eyes off her. She asked him to observe etiquette, and she added that this was her position. Eglon said that she asks him to be tactful with the king without bloodline, and he added that he doesn't think Arya is up to the job of queen. Siren asked how this had anything to do with herself. Eglon said that their name for Valeria was Arya, and from childhood she caused problems. The girl asked him not to insult Her Majesty, but he continued that she married a stranger and the title of queen is a dummy. He said that thanks to her appearance he managed to get her engaged to a man from an unknown family. But Siren did not allow him to continue and pointed to the door. Eglon was indignant at where her manners had gone and why she was acting so impudently, to which Siren replied that she was loyal to the king of the Empire of the Night.